Hello and welcome to Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes,
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
and today this is what I just want to talk about this first. I went and saw Resident Evil 5
Oh, I'm
today.
curious to hear this.
Resident Evil 5 Retribution, and actually, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna start this out. I went in the movie. I obviously know from seeing the last four movies. I realized this is what the movies are. So I went in there. I'm not going like, okay, I don't expect it to be like the game. I expect it to be its own movie, and it's gonna have Resident Evil elements in it, right? That's all I'm assuming, right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And actually, it was not that bad of a movie. It was actually pretty darn good. I
Really?
thought I would actually say it was pretty enjoyable. I would even recommend it. That's how much I liked it.
That is a first, because for the longest time, you and me have both been kind of like, fuck these movies.
Well, yeah. I saw the first one and I was like, the first one was pretty cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
it was different because it ran parallel rather than just being like, oh, we're going to do our own thing.
But after that, they just kind of had that problem where I think the main thing, what I was actually thinking it was really due to? It was due to Alice having those superpowers. Those superpowers was always kind of like was like the annoying part of it. And the thing is in that last Resident Evil, she had the power stripped away, which made it kind of better. And then this one, she didn't really have the powers at all either in it.
Well, the thing with me is, I didn't really like. The first one was all right with me. The second one, I didn't care for that much. The third one is what pissed me off when I said fuck this, because the thing that always bothered me is how inconsistent the story was, because
Yeah,
they
we
keep on
mentioned that one
flipping it around.
before.
Yeah, because
But
like, well, at the end of two, they have the whole thing where, oh, she's evil now, and they're gonna and Umbrella came up with this whole cover story, but it doesn't matter because apparently in the third one she can just shake off that control they have over her, and the whole world ended anyway. So each one seems to be different. Does this one actually stay on one track, or does
Well,
it?
this is what I'm also gonna say too. I'm gonna say, really, what actually makes those movies probably better though is when actually Paul W.S. Anderson actually directs them.
Really?
Because really, like the ones that aren't that good are the ones that where he's just writing them.
Hmm.
When it sounds strange, but the two and three probably my least favorite ones. It's the ones where he's writing them.
Yeah,
You almost like don't admit it's like when he directs it, it actually gets better.
I can possibly see that. He's not exactly my favorite director, but I don't hate him. There's like a few directors I full on just loathe, but
But it was kind of cool. Like what the story was that pretty much Umbrella was like holed up in this like Atlantis like Aquaman city. That's pretty much what it was. They were in Atlantis,
I remember that part from the video game. Yeah.
Umbrella world, yeah. But that's where Umbrella was, and Alice kind of like wakes up there, and they have like this kind of like sort of like I guess training ground you could see. Well, they use it like as test rooms. Like each section was like there's one for like New York, Moscow, and like Tokyo, and a couple others, and they just like have these clones, and they release like them out, and they tested like the virus on this, and go, let's see how this works.
Is that how some of the characters that died in the first one are back in this one?
Yeah, the one all the characters from the first one that are back, they're all clones. But
All
I think
right.
it's kind of cool that they bring back some stuff like that. There's a lot of kind of cool like they bring back characters like that from the first one.
Michelle Rodriguez is getting big again too.
Yeah, like Michelle Rodriguez, she actually has two characters in it. She has two different clone characters in it,
One's good, one's bad. I'm
pretty
guessing.
much.
Yeah.
They both die, but one's good, one's bad.
They'll just clone her again in the next one.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, excluding the fact they blew the whole place up at the end.
They'll find a loophole around that, I'm sure.
But the cool thing too is they had Leon Kennedy was in it, and Barry, and then Ada Wong.
Oh,
And Leon was really badass in that movie. He was really cool. So was Barry. Barry, he could have a little bit more parts, but he still they looked like just like how you picture them. They were totally badass. They did a great job. Same with the Ada Wong character. She did a really good job too. And in this one, actually, Wesker is a good guy.
Wesker's a good
So
guy.
like that slight good guy. Like he's now working against Umbrella, but you know it's in the long run for his own like.
We're not
plan.
friends, but we'll put our differences aside for now.
Because yeah, he helps out Alice, and they trying to get her out of there. The whole point of that's actually trying to get out of like Atlantis.
It's just Aquaman just come in at some point.
You expect
We
him.
cloned Aquaman too. He has like
He runs Umbrella. He's using it to take over the world. But
he's come to call us some zombie fish like thing.
well, they had all kinds of cool zombies too. They had like a giant liquor in it. I mean, like some of the stuff's not in the video game, but I felt like
By this point,
this point's like almost like the things in it. Like I just think it's really cool. You see, it's like, oh, there's Leon. Well, that's cool that it's just actually in there. I'm almost kind of like taking these movies and just kind of going with a very open, optimistic mind. Like I'm not looking at trying to be like negative video game player. Like it's wrong. You know, I'm not trying to do that. I really want to go in there and just go, okay, it's a movie. I'm just gonna let it play. Let's just see how it is. I'm not gonna think of like the last ones. I'm just gonna kind of take it for what it is, you know?
I the thing with me is it's not even so much the whole like they changed it. It wasn't so much that for me. It was more just I didn't like the story in general. I didn't like this particular direction they were going. Just everything.
Well, now
Just
you're talking about 2 and 3 now.
I'm telling. Yeah, I
And
didn't
that's the
see
thing, though,
four.
is
Yeah,
2 and 3 are just they're the ones that aren't that great. You know, the first ones,
they're the handicapped children of the family.
yeah, they really kind of are. They're the ones that all the problems almost came from that one. Because the fourth one is a lot better than, 2 and 3. It's not as good as one, but it's a lot better. And the fifth one actually is almost on par with one. I was pretty impressed. I mean, I've only seen it once, so I'm not going to say more than that.
1 to 5 on a 1 to 4 scale. What would you give this?
1 out of 4. I would say, as far as just an action romp, I enjoyed it like a 3. Like I was like, I could probably go see it again. You know, I have to see it a second time to get a full on rating, but I actually really did enjoy it. A couple complaints I had is they bring back Jill, which they mentioned that in like the very end of 4, and it's the exact same actress that's in number 2, which is the best part of number 2. But for some reason, her acting has gone full on out the door. She had horrible acting in number 5.
Is it because I know this one?
Just I don't know the
Do they
way.
bring in that plot point from number 5 where she has the thing on her chest?
Yeah, they bring the thing in from Resident Evil 5, the video game. It has nothing to do with that. Just I don't know what it is. Like her acting, maybe it's the way that the lines are and the way she delivers them. It makes her sound like a bad actress, like in a kind of a B horror movie, which I guess that's what this technically is, but B action horror movie.
It's gonna rake in a lot of fucking money.
Oh, the funny thing about this movie, like we were the only ones in there that were under 40. It was like, or probably maybe 30. But
I'm
it was
guessing it was you and RJ. And
no, I went with Megan because that was the only way I could have went to the movies without you. She's been wanting to see movies for a long time, and if you go, she thinks you're mean. So
she thinks I'm mean.
yeah, don't worry about that.
We don't go into that. It's personal, but okay.
But so no, she's been wanting to see us for a while, so I said I'd go with her, and we wanted to go see it. But yeah, literally, I mean, these movies really attract like middle-aged people. It was from anywhere from like late 30s to like late 60s. That was the age range of everybody in there. It wasn't super packed. There was probably about 20 people in there and all, maybe a little bit more, but that was the age range. It was all middle-aged. It's kind of funny. There's no young people whatsoever in it.
Okay. Is that all you had to say about Resident Evil, or there's a few
I
more
will
things
have to
you
say
want
this too. Like, I will say that we had to see the 3D one because I don't know what the fuck was wrong. There was two showings in the morning, and they're in 3D, and the two showings that were not 3D were later in the day, but they played on different screens.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
That just seems like they must not have enough money to like run it. But you think it'd be the exact opposite way. Like, let's put the 3D where like more cash comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Friday, but
Yeah.
so we saw it in 3D, and I actually will have to say the 3D has gotten a lot better since the start of those kind of like re-released 3D movies. I don't know what you want to call them, bringing back 3D to like main movie theaters. Since then, it actually has gotten slightly better because now they don't have that kind of thing where it always looks like you're watching like a pop-out book.
Yeah.
Where like it really just looks like a bunch of 2D images, and each one and there's like a 1 through 5 plane, and they sit between that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one kind of actually had a pretty smooth look to it, and some of the effects were kind of cool. Like when it snowed, it had a nice little like it came out. I mean, I would still probably say see the movie in 2D, but the 3D experience was not bad. Like if you saw it in 3D, I actually don't think it's actually that bad of one.
Yeah, because most of the 3D movies I went to go see, it would always be something like, all right, the rain coming in my face looks kind of realistic. I saw like Priest in 3D, which that movie wasn't that great either. And there's a part where he throws some ninja stars at the screen, and the little ninja stars come at you, and that part looked kind of realistic. But beyond that, there's always like only like 2 or 3 shots where it looks really good for me. But you say this one's an
No,
improvement?
I would say that the entire movie looks fine in 3D. It doesn't have like that thing where like there's 2 or 3 cool shots. It's just I think they found a way to smoothen it out a little bit better instead of making it like kind of jerky and just it looks like a pop-out book. As I said.
I always thought that too. Just
And then the way the movie ends is it's another cliffhanger ending, and
that's
it
how they
ends
always end.
really. The movie ends, and it's like they come up to like Washington D.C. area, and Wesker's fucking sitting in the president's chair. I was almost expecting to see like Barack Obama just like tied up, like in the closet.
It's like, yo, fuck you.
But no, he's in the president's chair, and then he injects Alice again with like some new virus, and he's all like, she's like, I'm gonna kill you. He's like, yeah. Well, first you gotta go outside and do this shit, and then it pans out, and it really just looks like Army of fucking Darkness. There's a wall around the White House, and there's all these monsters running up towards it, and these flying bat creature things. It really looked like Army
That
of
was the very
Darkness.
end of the movie.
It was very end of the movie.
They advertised that on the trailer, so I'm surprised they showed.
Yeah, that was the very end of the movie, and they mentioned something that because it mentions it almost sounds like there's gonna be 2 more movies. It mentions this is only the beginning of the end, like one of those kind of lines. But so who knows? It might be there might be 1 more, it might be 2.
You know when it's gonna end?
But they mentioned something was kind of cool about it. I think the last boss might be the last boss in Code Veronica.
Oh, right on.
I'm not too sure on that, but by the way they mentioned it, that's what it sounded like because they mentioned
Truth be told, though, when I think when it's really gonna end, when these stop making money.
No, really, that's what's gonna happen because they'll find a way to make side stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say overall, I kind of went in there and was like, well, whatever. I mean, I'll just kind of accept. And then I kind of came out and I was like, that actually was pretty good. It was well paced. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it takes 5 movies to get to that point, but still, I always feel in life if you keep working at something, you'll eventually get good.
Keep squeezing lemon juice into a cut probably won't hurt as much after a while.
Exactly. But all I want to say is actually there was a trailer for the Wachowski brothers movie or Wachowski brother and sister movie with also the director of Run Lola Run.
I want to see that.
That looked pretty. It looked confusing as fuck, but it would look pretty cool.
It looks kind of like The Fountain.
I guess
because they're filtering through different lives.
Yeah, so they're going through different lives. Yeah, it's supposed to be. I can't even tell really what was going on in it, but it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a trailer for Silent Hill, the new one, which that movie looks pretty cool. It's coming out on Halloween.
Halloween Day or around that time?
Oh, it just said around Halloween. It didn't say Halloween Day, but it's kind of good because last year there was 2 Halloween movies that came out in October, if you count The Thing as one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of glad to see at least there's something coming out. It's I don't know why you would not want to release. You would think there'd be at least 5 movies in the theater that are Halloween ones at that time, right?
Yeah.
They had a Django Unchained one again.
That's always good.
It was cool because I didn't get to see that movie on big screen yet, so that's cool.
Can't wait for that one.
I
That's
can't
the movie
wait.
I'm
I didn't need
really
to see
looking
much
forward
more.
to.
Quentin Tarantino, Western.
Yeah.
Slaves. I'm trying to sum it up in 3 words or 4 words. I guess if you count Quentin Tarantino as 2 words.
It's 1 word by this point.
But they had that and some of they had the what's the guy Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Let me pronounce it like a horrible white person.
Guillermo del Toro, I think.
And with him, he really kind of doesn't have that many good movies, in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the most movies I see, I think, are kind of dumb. They have okay premises, but they're not that good.
I like Pan's Labyrinth.
I like Blade 2, but
Blade 2. I didn't like. I like Blade 2. I didn't like all the bad CG he used. They're like full fight scenes.
Yeah, there's some CG and it's a little bit
overall,
crappy,
it's a
but
good
actually,
movie.
I like that Blade.
Well, what are the movies of his you don't like?
That last movie that came out by his, I don't remember what it's called.
Which one was?
I think it was like Katie Holmes dies in it.
Katie Holmes. He only produced that, I think.
I thought he directed that one.
I'm pretty sure he only produced.
Oh well, never mind. Then his movies aren't that bad, I guess.
Katie Holmes dies at the end of it.
I think so. I can't remember. Whoever the actress is dies.
I'm not sure. I think he only produced it. Maybe
it was so bad I don't really remember the name.
It was. I think you're thinking Alone in the Darkness, or no, that's a video game movie.
No, it was something about darkness and it had these little goblin creature thingies in it that came.
Darkness goblin creature thingies. That's the name of the movie now.
Pretty fucking stupid.
No, movie comes out I think October 19th that I really want to see is the new. I forget the director's name, but it's the guy that directed In Bruges, 7 Psychopaths.
Oh, I've heard about that one. I haven't seen a trailer for it, but I've heard about it.
That one looks awesome.
I want to say there was one more trailer, but I guess that was it.
There's actually, since you got a chance to talk about Resident Evil, I actually want to mention something that's a complete 180. This is gonna make me sound like a total fucking art snob or something, but there was up in town a little bit ago. There was this little miniature film fest, and of course, a lot of shit comes to town, but there's actually 2 movies that stood out to me that were actually pretty good. I'm going to talk about this one first. This one was called Losing Her. And it's going to sound, I know you're not.
It sounds stupid as fuck, but okay. Continue on.
Yeah, I know you're not going to like
the best Edward Burns movie has a really stupid title, too.
Yeah. Like a Losing Kitty or whatever.
No, that's not the best one, but no, it's called She's the One. It just sounds like such a generic title, but it's actually my favorite Edward Burns movie.
Well, this is kind of like sort of an Edward Burns movie, in my opinion. Because the guy that wrote the movie and directed the movie, well, he's one of the 2 directors, and he was one of the writers, and he starred in it. And it sounds like a lame premise, but it actually ends up being a pretty good movie, just because it was really well written. It was very simple, but very good. It's about a guy who he just lost his girlfriend, and you think for a while in the movie, I'm not. It's gonna sound like a spoiler, but you find out
Spoiler.
this becomes the
Well, I told
main.
you the fucking end of Resident Evil.
Yeah. Well, this ends up becoming the primary problem of the movie. You find that arises like 15 minutes in or 20 minutes in. You find out that she didn't die, that she just broke up with him, and he's having trouble coping with it. And what he goes to a group therapy thing where there's a bunch of different people who all just lost somebody. There's a couple that just lost their daughter. There's a guy, an Iranian guy who just lost his family. There's a girl, there's a woman, an old lady whose like husband just committed suicide or something like that. And then there's a young woman whose boyfriend just committed suicide. And he's uh he's kind of just bonding with all. None of them get along. They all kind of hate each other. But then he goes there and they all start to become friends, start bonding. I know it sounds very cheesy to you.
Bonding. You and your bonded movie.
You and your movies of feelings and shit and yeah, and then
Fuck, I just want to saw a movie that just had killing in it.
yeah, I
For
feel
an
like such.
hour
I feel
and
like
a
such.
half.
I feel like such a pussy talking about this movie about like it's about feelings and overcoming. But no, it was actually a good movie. I actually recommend it. It was
Yeah,
called
my movie's
Losing
about
Her.
overcoming death and dying and getting mutilated.
It's not so much because it sounds kind of like a very kind of like how will we move on, but it's actually a pretty uplifting movie. It's not so much of like a constant downer. When I first read the little synopsis of it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to see it, but I end up seeing it anyway. And then I'm like, oh, that was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty uplifting. It wasn't beating you over the head. It's sad, it's sad, it's sad. But the sad parts were actually pretty effective. And it was actually overall pretty good. The second movie I saw was,
Wait, before you get to the second movie, now is this movie still on tour?
I'm assuming it is. He brought it to Twain Hart.
And
He brought it to the Twain Hart Film Festival. I'm assuming it's still like circulating around.
well, I'm just saying this because I don't know if can you get it on DVD yet.
You might be able to get it on DVD.
Or is this because like I mean that Twain Hart film thing is kind of like the C or D like run of like film festivals.
Oh, it was a very small, yeah, this was a very small movie, but it was pretty good. It's called Losing Her. I believe there's a trailer for it on YouTube. Um, I really wish I didn't know we were going to talk about movies we just saw. Otherwise, I would have wrote some of this down. If I can, I have a paper on it at the back of my house. Like,
Well, it's clearly not that important. Go to the next movie.
Yeah, so I'll say it next time. But anyway, the other movie I saw was a movie called Pig. And
oh yeah, that's one you told me about.
this one was actually this is probably my favorite movie at the film fest. I saw 3 movies. The one I just mentioned was good. This one's good. The other one kind of sucked. I won't bother talking about that one. But this one's about a guy who wakes up out in the desert and he has like a bag over his head, and all he has in his pocket is just a name, just a name. He says, "Well, I guess this is my name." And a woman finds him, nurses him back to health, and he's just trying to figure out who he is. It's almost kind of like Memento. I mean, he doesn't have the whole backwards thing, but it's just the mystery of like, wait, what was I doing again? Who am I? And then what happens is every so often in the movie, he'll reach a certain point, he'll get a weird flash, and then he ends up back in the desert again. Like, what the fuck is going on? And it keeps on happening, and you almost get to the point where you're getting irritated by it. Like, he's back at the. It doesn't like replay everything, but it'll sometimes just jump. Like, okay, a few days later, he's over here now, and what ends up happening, you find out, is a spoiler alert right here. But Spencer just gave the big spoiler on Resident Evil, so I guess it doesn't matter. What ends up happening is you find out this guy was because you find out you find out he has 2 different identities and he's trying to figure out which person he is. You find out what happened was on his 30th birthday he got into a drunk driving accident and accidentally killed his wife and daughter. So he got life. Not he didn't get life, but I think he got like 20 years in prison or something like that.
But remember, kids, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. But they said you can get we can shorten your sentence. We can make all the pain go away if you agree to this government. It wasn't actually a government thing, but it was a science experiment where they put these nanobots into his bloodstream. They attach onto certain stems of the brain, which whenever he has a flashback of what happened in his past, it tries to clear it, zaps it. So every single time he saw something, you see certain things in the movie. Whenever he saw something that triggered a memory, that would flash back, and it shows everything of how it happened, and it was actually a pretty good movie.
And that movie was called Pig, right?
It's called Pig.
And it was on DVD?
They had a DVD of it when it was there.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that means people can check it out if they want to
Yeah.
see that. Neato. Well, I actually want to say one more thing before we even go into the main topic again. I finally saw Donnie Darko.
Oh.
After all these years of not seeing it and people telling me to see it and then going, sure. I watched it. It's okay. I mean, it's
I knew
not
that was going to be
bad.
your response.
It's not bad. It's got a lot of kind of little plot hole things I thought in the movie, and I think the ending is completely fucking retarded. I'm sorry, but like I hate those kind of movies where I see the ending like that. It's like, well, what was the point of even watching the movie if that's what just happened? If the kid was gonna fucking die by an airplane engine falling on him, why are we even watching the rest of this stuff? That's just a waste of time.
It was one of those things. I'm not completely sure. I'll be honest. It's been like 3 years since I watched the movie.
I mean,
I
yeah,
like
I
it,
feel like I
but
might need to watch the movie twice. It feels like one of those movies you need to kind of watch twice to totally get. But
I liked it. It's not one
I
of
mean,
those
I,
movies.
I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's worth watching again.
It's just when people talk about like
But
it's the second coming of
it's one of
Christ.
those movies.
Like,
It's kind of like American History X, where people think it's just like this mind-blowing movie, and I just like it's not bad, but
I think you'd probably be a lot more impressed with it if you weren't so like expecting this.
yeah, I think that's also too. I mean, I know I waited quite a long time because I noticed if you
Like in Resident Evil, you were expecting it to be a total piece of dog shit, but you're actually surprised how good it is. So it's
well,
like,
I
oh, it's
wasn't
almost better.
expecting it because in Resident Evil, I made sure I went in there with an open mind. I even tried to do that with this movie. I made sure I went in there with an open mind. I mean, it had kind of cool things in it. It had Patrick Swayze. That was a big selling point for
The
me.
Swayze was in that movie.
Yeah, he was in that movie. He was the guy who apparently raped children in the long run.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Resident Evil 5.
well,
I was like, wait, he fucking died.
he was a zombie and he raped children in that one.
So wait, didn't he fucking die? I was like, blow him.
No, but in Donnie Darko, and then like I had Drew Barrymore, but her character almost felt kind of. Why the fuck if she was like this like really like creative English teacher, why was she teaching at like a Christian school or whatever that's like kind of boarding school thing? Like some of the things that was in that movie, they just didn't make too much.
Seth Rogen was a bully.
Yeah, Seth Rogen was in it. That really brought the movie down for me. When I saw, I was like, I saw him in the back. I was like, is that fucking Seth Rogen? Like, god damn it, it's Seth Rogen. He's gonna hog even classic or older movies by this point.
Before he's even famous.
Yeah, before he's famous.
You know, when you watched the movie just for you, he winked and just pointed at you.
He
Made the little gun
pointed at me, and then his acting wasn't very good. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker. But I mean, other than that though, I mean, the ending was the part that really made me angry. Like, I actually didn't really bother the movie, or it was a pretty good movie till that ending. I hate those kind of endings where it's just like
it was supposed to be, I think, kind of like a
that last 2 hours you saw didn't happen.
Well, I think what was supposed to happen was, keep in mind, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so some people are going to say, fucking duh. Other people are going to say, that's not what happened. But,
fucking rabbit.
No, it was, he ended up, because his girlfriend ended up getting killed. So to revert that, he said, well, I'll make it so I never meet her, so I don't have to worry about that. So he went back in time and sacrificed
that part was
himself.
hilarious when the girlfriend got killed. I was laughing.
She got like hit by a car.
Hard. Yeah, she got
Yeah.
ran over by the car. and why was like the guy on the rabbit like a Native American guy?
I have no idea.
Is there reasons to that?
I have no idea.
I think he's Native American. I could be wrong.
I'll be honest.
I'm a white person. I have a harder time telling, but I think it was Native American.
I watched this movie twice, and it was the 2 times I watched it, I did not really watch it with the what's this film saying? What's its inner meaning? I just was watching, like, okay, I like it. It's good. It never really blew me away. I enjoyed it. I guess I just wasn't as disappointed because I wasn't going in there with the mindset of it's gonna blow my fucking mind.
Well, I didn't expect it to blow my mind. I wasn't expecting that at all. I knew for a fact it wasn't gonna do that. But I got the director's cut version of that too, because I feel like if you're gonna watch a movie, you better go like balls out.
Yeah.
And well, one thing I did learn though is, you know what Richard Kelly did? He wrote Domino.
He wrote Domino.
The Tony Scott movie.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know he did that. I was like, oh, well,
I still gotta borrow that from you.
That's actually like the second movie he did too, so that's pretty badass.
That's good for him.
Make one movie and then you get to work with Tony Scott. That's pretty good.
Well, anyway, yeah. So, I guess we should probably segue into the main thing. We just kind of.
I just want to mention that Donnie Darko thing because it was on my mind and I watched it. I mean, it's good. It's just that I just think the ending's really dumb. That's the only thing I say is that the ending really brought it down for me.
Yeah.
With those endings, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a Fight Club thing. Like the second time I watch it and I already know what the ending is, maybe I'll actually enjoy it more. But just the first time experience, didn't like that ending. I could do if it wasn't with the ending, I don't think it'd be that bad. I really just accept in life that chick just got ran over by a car. That makes sense. That's what happens in life. Shit happens and you got to deal with it.
Yeah, he dealt with it by going back in time and killing himself so she'd never get hit by a car. But I bet that's not where you.
It's like pre-Prince of Persia stuff. He's going.
Well, no,
back
probably
in
would have made it
time.
happy for you. Probably would have made a good ending for you. If like it's so fucked up, it's so funny. If like after he goes back in time and the mom is like, like she says, "Who's that?" That's a guy named Donnie Darko. He just died. And you see the chick wave at the mom. The mom waves back. You see the chick she's on her bike, gets hit by a car. So it all happened.
That'd
anyway.
be like that, like the Time Machine remake, because that was like what that movie was. Like he kept trying to go back in time, and she kept getting killed over and over. He's like, "Fuck!" So he's like, "Well, fuck, I'm gonna go in the future then, because she's already dead, and I don't give a fuck."
I don't know. It's just the whole time that just ended up happening anyway, even after he tried to save her. So
He's like, yep, shit happens. What are you gonna do?
Richard Kelly out.
Get yourself a rabbit to talk to.
I do. Yeah. But no,
There's some other loopholes in that movie. I don't remember off the top of my head now, but
I can't remember. I gotta
there's
watch
just
it
some
again.
of those things that just like.
I like the part when he like freaks out on his what was it, his PE teacher or something? Not his PE teacher, or like the teacher's. He like told her to jam the thing up her ass, and she's all crying. The principal, he told me to insert this up my anus. That whole part.
That actually reminds me. The parents of
They're
Donnie
such
Darko.
pushovers.
No, not that. The parents of Donnie Darko, they don't seem like the kind of parents that would put their kids in a boarding school either. They don't even seem like they're religious whatsoever. They're too open-minded and stuff like that. So there's a lot of those things like that. It just kind of like I just feel like I don't know. I don't feel like it was structured perfectly. I'm not saying anything against the movie generally, just or I guess I am, but I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad movie. I feel it's got some things in it, but I don't know.
This could just be the retro episode. What else pisses you off?
A lot of things piss me off. I don't know. I'll have to keep thinking about it, but
I guess we just like segue into the main topic. Man,
how about we segue into something that doesn't piss me off?
All right,
Kevin Smith.
He's one of my favorite directors, and I consider him one of my biggest heroes, really, one of my biggest idols.
I got a question first.
Sure thing.
What was your first time ever experiencing a Kevin Smith movie?
Kevin Smith.
Because you didn't really experience Kevin Smith unless you lived next to him without being a movie, probably.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of amazing to think nowadays, like some people be like, "Well, my first experience of Kevin Smith was a podcast," or "My first experience of Kevin Smith was a comic book." It'd be like, "Oh, that's an interesting way to get into Kevin Smith."
I didn't see the movie, but I remember seeing a commercial for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and this was like 8th grade, and I was like, I
remember that commercial.
I'm like, I want to see this movie. I have no idea who Jay and Silent Bob are. Are they? Is there like a Jay and Silent Bob series of movies? This movie just looks funny. I just want to see it. And then one day I went to a friend's house, and his family was actually really big on Kevin Smith, and they had a DVD copy of Mallrats, and it had Jay and Silent Bob just on the cover, and I was like, is this like, did they have more Jay and Silent Bob movies like this? Like, oh yeah, there's a whole series, but they're never the main characters. That movie just came out. This is them as the main characters. Like, oh okay, we didn't watch Mallrats that day, but then like a few days later, he said, oh, check out this movie Clerks, and we started watching Clerks, and I'm like, oh, there's Jay. So it's kind of like this thing. I always wanted to find out who these Jay and Silent Bob guys were, and I watched Clerks, and I remember watching Clerks, and it was one of those things. I was in the 8th grade, so I thought it was funny. I wasn't blown away by it because you have to be a certain age to really appreciate that movie.
Yeah, when you're kind of a little bit younger.
Like everybody, like for me, for the longest time, my favorite movie of Kevin Smith. This is when I first got into him, because I saw all his movies like within a year. I saw his movies, and not all in order either. I saw like Clerks, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, then Dogma, then Chasing Amy, and then of course Clerks 2 later down the line after he did Jersey Girl, and from there it was just one of those things that. Shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so these characters I always wanted to see, but I didn't see them for the longest time. And then so when I saw Jay and Silent Bob, for a while that was my favorite. But then once I got into like more of a, I'd say probably like sophomore in high school, it became more things like Clerks and Chasing Amy and all that. And I'd say Clerks is probably, I'll be honest, this might be different 2 years from now, but right now I'd say Clerks is probably my favorite movie of all time.
No, Clerks is a pretty darn good movie. So do you like that more than Pulp Fiction now?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I can watch it more than Pulp Fiction. I can watch Pulp Fiction a lot.
Well, say about Pulp Fiction. I love Pulp Fiction. Now it's one of those movies I can't just watch it like over and over and over and over again. It's one of those movies like every single time I watch it, I love it, but you gotta like you almost like savor it.
Mm-hmm.
But my first experience of Kevin Smith was Jay and Silent Bob. Once again, I saw the trailers for it in there, and I was like, "Oh, dude, it sounds like Bill and Ted or something like that." That's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like a modern Bill and Ted kind of, in a sense, like when you're a kid, you like those whoa movies. They really appeal to children.
It's not really a whoa movie, though.
No, it's not that movie at all, but just the fact that, like,
it looks like
two
one.
buds going on an adventure.
Yeah.
You're a kid, you're like, I'm like two buds with my friends, and we want to go on adventures.
But we never do, because we don't have a driver's license yet.
Yeah, so you dream of these things. And I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it when it came out on video. I rented it.
Mm-hmm.
I think me and Cisco rented it. And that was the first one we watched. And we're like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I didn't actually really realize that there's other ones of these movies. I assumed there's probably another Jay and Silent Bob because it's called Strikes Back. So I'm like, there's probably a first Jay and Silent Bob. And then like only like a week or so later, I met this guy named Carl. He only came to school for like literally a year. Like I think it's Somerville because this was my freshman year, I guess, when Jay and Silent Bob would have came out or something like that. I think it came out in like the summertime before my
It came out in
freshman
summertime. I remember
year. Yeah.
that.
So and I remember he had a copy of Jay and Silent Bob. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, I love that movie, so good. He's like, have you seen any of his other ones? I'm like, no. So he let me borrow. He gave me like a VHS, like taped off TV copy of Mallrats. He had like
Like taped off HBO or like TBS or something.
no, it was like off HBO.
Okay.
It was a good copy, but I mean, it was a taped
Yeah.
version. But he like it was like his pride and joy. And then he showed me and then he had Clerks too, and he showed me both these ones. And it as Jay and Silent Bob goes, the more I see of other Kevin Smith movies, the farther that one kind of went back.
Same here.
That's kind of how it worked. Like I saw Clerks, I'm like, well, that's better than Jay and Silent Bob. And then I saw Mallrats, I'm like, well, that's better than Jay and Silent Bob. So it kept getting pushed back. And then I saw Chasing Amy because it came on TV, and same with Dogma. No, I borrowed Dogma from just drew a blank on his name now.
Anonymous.
Carl.
Okay.
Carl, there we go. There's his name. I don't know why I drew a blank. But he let me borrow that. So that's how I really originally got to see the first, I guess, 5 Kevin Smith movies.
Mhm.
I remember Dogma when it came out, though, because I remember my mom rented it. And she was like, well, this is okay. I guess she was expecting it to be something kind of different, you know? Because
Mhm.
I guess because she did that thing where it's like, well, it's got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in it, which I feel like that's one of the main reasons a lot of people see it.
I remember when I bought that movie, there was an old lady at the register. She's like, "What is that? Oh, it has Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in it."
Oh, it must be a good old
Rob.
Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are my experience of Kevin Smith, and then I kind of moved into. Then I saw every single one of his movies in theaters after that, because we went and saw Jersey Girl, which I remember my friend's mom's. She read like the review like in a magazine. She was all like or like the synopsis or whatever. She's like, I don't know if that's what you guys want to go see because we were probably like 15 at the time. And we're like, no, because Kevin Smith, he's so awesome. And she's like, that doesn't sound like a movie for a couple of 15-year-old boys to go see.
Like, no, we really want to. As you guys are going up to the ticket booth, you're holding hands, going to see it.
Well, yeah, when you kind of think about when you just think about the movie, it's kind of like a feely movie.
It's bromance.
Yeah, it's
Jersey
really gross.
Girl.
You know, it's about a single father with his daughter. You know, it's one of those kind of movies. It really does not sound like two teenager boys are gonna go like, yeah, bro night.
I really think our kids are gay. They want to go see this movie called Jersey Girl. Together.
It's got feelings. It's 10:30 at night. And Jersey Girl is one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. That's one of the top 3 favorites.
I wouldn't say it's one of my top 3, but I really like that one. It's one of those movies I really think it was shit upon, and Kevin Smith says this all the time in his podcast. He thinks it's shit upon because everyone that was there in the whole like Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck breakup. So they're just like, oh, Jersey Girl, Bennifer bomb, you know. So
well, yeah, because there's just that anti-Ben Affleck thing out there, and it's still
not anymore.
To this
not
day.
As much.
It's not as much. People have kind of like warmed up to Ben Affleck, but still, people still shit on Ben Affleck quite a bit though. It's like I don't know why.
I think it's just like pretty boy, perfectly chiseled chin, has everything,
yes,
you know,
hair.
It's not receding, and he's beautiful.
And they put him in movies.
Yeah.
Why don't I get to be put in movies?
Get back to washing fucking dishes. Okay.
Okay, Dad. Jeez, look, I'm trying to have my dreams here. But what's my experience of Kevin Smith was that starting with those movies, from there progressing on to then Clerks 2 came out.
I'll be honest with you. The only movies of his I saw in theaters were well, I've seen everything since Clerks 2. Oh, actually not Red State, because Red State didn't come to theaters.
Oh yeah, Red State only came to the theaters if you lived in special cities.
So I guess Clerks 2, Zack and Miri, and Cop Out.
Yeah, saw all 3 of those.
Yeah, so
and then I also saw Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl was the first one I saw in theaters.
Which if Red State was within like a 5-hour drive, I would have gone and seen it. But
yeah, I don't think that came anywhere.
The closest place it came was L.A. That's not northern.
Yeah, I don't think it even came to San Francisco or anything. San Francisco's kind of a dead pool though nowadays for movies. Sometimes I mean,
you wouldn't think it would be, but yeah.
But I just remember like I don't know, even like the theaters like the Lumiere and stuff. Like if they had a movie, they only had it for like one fucking day, which is retarded. But
yeah, like the George A. Romero movies.
I mean, I know they only have like one. I think they only have like 1 or 2 cinemas in those kind of ones. But still, come on, at least more than one day. Because I mean, you see it like walking.
Actually, I think he did one showing of Red State in San Francisco.
Oh, did he? Well, we should have went to that.
But it was after the movie had its theatrical run. He was bringing it back out for like a special thing, and it was like near Halloween. It was like a Q&A kind of thing.
Well, that would have been cool. I didn't know about that. But then again, I guess I don't read up enough on those things on the internet.
Well, I just listen to Smodcasts all the time, which is Actually, first we should probably we could probably just jump into Smodcast. Smodcast is one of the things that actually, I don't know about you, but it kind of inspired me to start doing podcasts. Just because when I actually got my own place for a while, there was actually I didn't really have cable. I just had my phone, my smartphone, and I would just listen to. That was almost kind of like I know
Old
Kevin Smith.
time radio days with Kevin
Yeah,
Smith.
exactly. It was almost kind of like that. It was almost like I didn't watch TV, and I would just generally I was either read or I would just have my podcast, and I just listened to that all the time because he has originally it was just, oh yeah, we're gonna do this thing once a week. But now he has his network where he has a bunch of different shows. I primarily listen to the Kevin Smith ones,
This Smodcast.
Smodcast. Well, Smodcat, the ones I always listen to, Smodcast, Tell 'em Steve Dave, Hollywood Babylon, Fat Man on Batman, um, Get Up on This, and when I can, I'll listen to Bagged and Boarded and Last Week on Earth. But
I don't think those last three. I don't think I've even listened to or even heard of.
the Kevin Smith ones are obviously the best ones, but yeah.
No, you're talking about are those all Kevin Smith ones? Or are those
They're not all Kevin Smith
because
ones.
he has even more than that too.
Well, there's Jane, Silent Bob Get Old, which that one, I'll be honest.
Because like sometimes I discover a new one that he's done. Like it's like what the fuck is that?
Oh, in Smoothie Makers. I forgot to mention Smoothie Makers.
Yeah, my favorite ones are Smoothie Makers, Fat Man on Batman, which I'm glad there finally was another episode on that after like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was like the one I really look forward to out of all the Kevin Smith ones. And
Fat Man on Batman, yeah.
that one, and then Smodcast. Those are about the three I listen to. And if I get around to it, I'll listen to Hollywood Babylon and other ones. But because the only about podcasts, since they're so long, you can only listen to so many in the week before they all get brand new ones. Because I like my Christopher Titus and I like my Continue Cast.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I don't have enough. It's like that's the thing about podcasts. It's kind of like TV shows. You can only watch so many before you're.
I guess what I usually do, because since I work on the comic book grit, I'll often like listen to podcasts while doing the artwork, not while the writing, but the artwork part of it. I'll often listen to it, and then when I'm closing at my job, I'll put on the podcast and just listen to those. So
yeah, with me, I just listen to podcasts. Generally, when I'm in my car, I'll listen to them then. And sometimes when I'm doing eBay stuff, I'll listen to my podcast. But I can't listen to them when I do animations and stuff a lot of times because there's mostly sound involved. So
yeah,
I sometimes I will if I'm doing drawings, but when it comes up to like animation and sound together, that's where I can't. But
So I guess we can just talk about what makes his career so great. Clerks is one of those movies. I don't know about you, but I know it does. But it really just
blows my fucking mind. That that was like the movie that really got me into filmmaking.
Same here.
Because I think when I was younger, I would say I was really into video games. That was the thing I liked more than anything else. I loved video games. I didn't really care too much about music right away. I watched movies, but I just kind of watched movies. Watching movies was something you kind of did, but you really liked playing video games. Or at least that's what I liked. It was video games was the main thing. I didn't even really read too often unless it involved video games.
Or pictures.
I didn't even read comic books at that point really either. Too. I mean, I had some, but
that was me, I guess.
But and as I got older, I started getting a little bit more into music, and I think getting into music still, all this stuff derives from video games. That's why I never look upon video games as ever being a bad thing because video games is what made me do anything I ever did today. But then I started getting into music, and I played that, and then I started about the beginning of high school is when I started really watching movies. I think because once DVDs, once I acquired a DVD player, and then I think once they started having special features, I think that really kind of gave a good insight of hey, this is how movies are made, and you really got to kind of learn because really DVD special features is my learning block of everything movies. I learned from two things. I learned from either DVD special features or I learned from books. That's it, or trial and error for myself. And that was when I started discovering movies like Clerks, and then also other good '90s independent movies. Anything by Richard Linklater. Some of these movies, I guess, I discovered.
Edward Burns, like we said earlier.
Yeah, I discovered Edward Burns a little bit later. I actually learned about him a couple of years ago. I was turned on to him by a friend. Because I heard of his movie, The Brothers McMullen, but I didn't see that one yet. But just those kind of independent movies. I'm trying to blank on some of these other ones. Quentin Tarantino was another really big influence. Robert Rodriguez.
David O. Russell.
Yeah, well, David Russell, once again, he came a little bit later in my thing. When I was just in high school, those kind of the main things. Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and Kevin Smith were really my three heroes.
Through high school, that was for me.
And I just raped their collection and everything from that on. It's I was.
It's got the image of you humping a DVD rack.
Well, in my DVD rack there is a Quentin Tarantino section, a Robert Rodriguez section, and a Kevin Smith section. They all go right together. And then there's my Oliver Stone box set.
I remember that. Yeah. Well, I guess for me,
Oh, and Stanley Kubrick. Take it back.
Stanley Kubrick.
That's the other one's there.
Kubrick's badass. You have an Arnold section too, don't you?
Yeah, they have an Arnold. I have a 007 section. It goes right below. It has every 007 movie ever made. It has all 3 Casino Royales, and then it's also got
They have their own section too.
Oh yeah, their own section. And then I got my Arnold Schwarzenegger collection, which is every Arnold Schwarzenegger movie on DVD. I think my Eraser is the only one I have on VHS I didn't buy on DVD yet.
No.
Cause I was just waiting for a special edition.
You have the
one.
villain.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you do? Wow.
No, I got them all.
Hercules goes to New York.
I have Hercules New York. I got that one. Well, the thing that makes me laugh about
You're on top of your shit. Wow.
is that I've been collecting that ever since I've owned it. Actually, ever since I've owned VHSs, I've had an Arnold Schwarzenegger collection, and it just kind of progressed through time. But the thing that's funny about Hercules New York though is like it featuring the original Arnold audio track, which they do it with like there's a couple movies in the 70s. I guess that one's 1969, but where they took people who speak English and they dub them over. And Arnold, like they said, like before, like they're like, well, he was hard to understand, so we dubbed him over for the original movie. Well, I watched the movie with the original Arnold track because I'm like, why the fuck would I want to watch it with somebody else? He sounds the same as he does like in any movie you've ever seen Arnold in.
It was 61 or whatever.
Yeah, or that 69. They
69.
Okay. Yeah, they just I guess weren't prepared for
69
Arnold mania. Arnold mania coming to home downtown. Well, they did have Mad Max too. Like they dubbed Mel Gibson's voice because he's speaking fucking Australian.
It's probably one of those things like, well, he doesn't sound American, so American audiences won't get it. One of those stupid things.
Well, like, it's like on the Mad Max special edition too, you can actually watch it with like, I never really watched it. I just kind of looked at like the trailer that has like the dub over voice. And it's like, Mad Max here to save the day.
Mel Gibson.
They give him like that dub like they give to like any like martial arts movie.
Now, a lot of times I'm imagining the guy who does the voice in the martial arts movie. It's the guy with the fedora that just got out of like a newspaper in Chicago in the 1930s.
This reminds me of like ex-Rat Pack members that like weren't selected do voiceovers for kung fu movies.
Let me tell you that asshole named Sinatra. Fuck him. That's what I say. Yeah.
Well, let me run that Rat Pack there. You see, we start with Mouse Pack. You see, much greater Mouse Pack.
All we do is kung fu movies, though. Ha ha.
We're the Mouse Pack.
But no, back to Kevin Smith, though.
Back to Clerks. Let's talk about Clerks X. Because that's really the DVD that I got, and that's the DVD that just is probably the best DVD ever made. I can't think of a better special edition than that.
Well, here's the thing about Clerks. I mean, people say it's not a perfect movie, and in some ways they're right, but in other ways it's...
So let me say this. What is a perfect movie?
Exactly.
Well,
that's the thing, because
it's all in taste.
Here's the thing. Here's what makes that movie so amazing. It was literally somebody with no money just putting something together that everyone thought was just going to fail and going to suck, ends up being just like spot on writing, spot on acting from people who are just like local theater actors or never acted in their life. Jeff Anderson, he gives one of the best performances I've ever seen that, and he's just being himself.
He really probably is the best actor in that movie.
And he's not even an actor. He said like, no, I was never an actor. I always thought acting was kind of stupid.
Well, here's what I've always said in life though. I always think the best actors never act.
Exactly.
That's the thing, though, because there's a lot of actors out there who they really want to be actors, and they're the ones that aren't very good actors. It's the people who never act in their life. Those are the best actors. Because you pull them up, and they're just naturally good actors. They do it in life, but they never think of like, why don't I do this in front of a screen, or why don't I do this on stage?
And Jeff Anderson's a perfect example of that. Brian O'Halloran, even though he was a community actor, he was really good.
He's really good though too.
Everybody in that movie is great.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
And the thing about that movie is, I'm not sure how many of you know the story, but what happened was Kevin Smith went to film school in Vancouver, and it was like an 8-month program.
It was a trade school one. There were 2 semesters of it.
Yeah, it was an 8-month program, and he went to the first 4 months. Within those first 4 months, he met Scott Mosier, the producer, and David Klein, the cinematographer of the movie. He says, you know what? I'm going to take the money I have. I'm going to go back to New Jersey. I'm going to write a script. And then when you get out of here, if you finish the script first, we'll do your movie. If I finish my script first, we'll do my movie, and we'll just make it happen. And that's what happened. So they started production. He took the rest of the money he would have had to spend for the Vancouver Film Fest, not Vancouver Film Fest, Vancouver Film School, and just put that towards the budget of Clerks. And then he charged the rest of the money onto his credit cards, which I believe Clerks ended up being $27,000. And from there, he just said, oh, well, we're just going to sell it at the what was the name of the theater? It was the Angelica. I listen to his podcast all the time, and I've watched The Snowball Effect like a million times. Because if you need something to motivate you, his podcast and the documentary Snowball Effect and his book Tough Shit, they just motivate you like no other.
Well, I really think that
And
Snowball Effect is the ultimate special feature documentary, whatever, on movie making. Like, it just doesn't get any better than that right there. That one is fantastic.
just there's so much. I guess.
I mean, I'll say this: if you add up all the Robert Rodriguez ones together, those are about just as good too. But he always just kind of gives you them in like smaller doses.
Well, plus the thing about the Snowball Effect, not only is it very informative, it's very you get emotionally invested in it. You understand where it's all coming from. You see what he's trying to say with this movie. And the reason we made Clerks is, well, there's never a movie where people were just talking about Star Wars. They were never talking about the things I was interested in. They never saw myself or my friends representing these movies. And Dante in the film was ultimately supposed to be Kevin Smith, and Randall is supposed to be his friend Brian Johnson. He's the guy with the big beard in that show Comic Book Men. And from there, they start making the movie. I believe they took them like 3 or 4 weeks to shoot the movie. They had to do it after hours at night of the convenience store. That's why they have the whole plot device where the shutters are closed and they have the "I assure you we're open" sign out there. They had to find a way around that so they can shoot at in the store without sunlight coming through or customers coming in.
And the main reason they shot in black and white because they were originally going to shoot in color, but it was just because like they had the fluorescent lights in there, and then if they'd have to turn those ones off and pull in other lights, and that was going to cost extra money. But if they shot in black and white, then the lighting wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't get any mixed lighting.
Yeah. So the idea was because I think it was 2 or 3 years previously, at the Angelica Film Fest, Slacker got picked up, and Slacker is actually one of the things that inspired him to make films. Like, well, shit, I can do it.
And so, literally, Slacker is a movie about fucking nothing.
I still haven't seen Slacker.
Movies, you watch it just to watch it because it's not one of those movies where it's like it's almost movies. It's not like Clerks where you're like, oh, that was a fucking good movie. It's just one of those movies. It's just a really cool concept that somebody actually went out there and made a movie that is literally people just talking about conspiracy theories. It is so 90s when it really gets down to it. It's just like, I got all this time on my hand. My mom pays for like my apartment, so I just get to, hang out and talk about like life and what happens, man.
Is there actually a moral at the end? Like, I need to do something with my life?
No, it's just a bunch of random stories all kind of pieced together. And as I said, it's technically not really like a good movie. I mean, it's not like amazing or anything.
But it was good enough to motivate him.
But just the concept, well, because you watch it and you go like, well, fuck, I can do that. Because that's all it is. It's just a bunch of people talk about shit.
And if Clerks wasn't made, you could make that movie so easily today. That movie would be so cheap to make. You probably make that movie for like $5,000.
Well, the thing about Clerks is about people talking, but it's got like almost like a plot and a structure that kind
of. I wasn't bringing it down by any means, but yeah, Clerks would be a very easy. I mean, as long as you have the skill to back it up.
I'm comparing that to Slacker though. It's just in the difference between talkie films.
Here's the thing about Clerks. Most movies like Clerks would fail, but the thing about Clerks is the writing is so amazingly good and just so spot on. And I think we're going to have to make this a two-parter because we're already almost at an hour right here.
No, we can actually go longer, I think.
We can? All right, cool. But anyway, so from there, he ends up taking it to the film fest because he takes it to the film fest and it's going to get picked up. This movie's going to get made. You and me know the story like the back of our hands, but there's a lot of people out there. I'm not sure if they know this.
No, you first come by the DVD or the Blu-ray to get this story.
Yeah, or just listen to his podcast a whole bunch. There's certain details he tells in those that I never knew about. I'll just stick to the bare bones part of it though. So they take it to the film fest. Like, yeah, people are gonna see our movie. They're gonna love it. It's gonna get picked up. Well, it's gonna rock. They take it there. Excluding the cast members, there's about 4 people in the movie theater. That's got to be just one of the biggest heartbreaks in the world for that to happen. So the whole time he's sitting there in the movie, just second guessing himself, why the fuck did I make this movie? And there was this old guy in the theater, and he was just some guy that just happened to be there. But that guy just happened to be there. His name is Bob Hawke, and he had connections to the independent film scene. And he suggested Clerks to a bunch of different people, and I'm forgetting some of their names right now. But he suggested it to. It was the guy that he produced some early Spike Lee films. Spike Lee. Spike Lee. I was thinking Spike Jonze for a second. Spike Lee, and the guy who directed Amongst Friends, that guy. And from
the Sex, Lies, and Videotape in there too.
Yeah, that one. So from there, movie gets passed around for a while. It gets from distributor to distributor saying we might take it. We're not sure how sellable it is. They just have this whole back and forth. Is this
I
movie
know, I
get
take that
picked
back.
up?
Sex Lies and Videotapes, 1989.
Is it?
Yeah, that's considered like almost the original like '90s like independent wave movie.
Well, he may have the guy who I'm thinking of. I'm forgetting his name. It was John something. He may have been one of the producers on it because he was like one of the big like heavy like indie producers of the '90s.
There's Steven Soderbergh.
Oh, Steven Soderbergh. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I didn't know Steven Soderbergh made that movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
so from there, he goes on and it gets picked up by Miramax. At the time, Miramax was the #1 company you want to get picked up at. He took it to Sundance. It got accepted to Sundance. A lot of people are like, we don't want that movie here at Sundance. But enough people stood up for it and said, no, fuck you. This movie's going in. And it did. And it got picked up by Harvey Weinstein, who was very like dead set against the movie at first. He couldn't get through the first 15 minutes of the movie. But then a bunch of the younger people that worked for him said, come in here, just watch the movie. Just watch it up to like until you hear 37. Once he heard the 37 dicks joke, he started cracking up and he stayed for the rest of the movie. Bought it, and now Kevin Smith's been working in film ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now he's getting out of film once he's done with Hit Somebody. But
yeah, he'll probably get. You know, he might come back to it. I think he just kind of needs a break. I think that's how everything is in life.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, you just need a break. Give it 5 years or so, and then
he talked about that he just made that. Even though he says he's quitting film after Hit Somebody, he in some way podcasting is coming back around and bringing him back into visual mediums because Spoilers is a Hulu show. It's like 20 something minutes long.
I hear about Spoilers. I haven't got to see it yet.
I saw like 3 episodes of it.
I guess because if I had internet, I'd watch these things.
One of the episodes he interviews Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, I heard about that. See, I hear about all these things. I don't get to see them though.
He has Hollywood Babylon is apparently being made into a show.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, half the stuff on there is live anyway, so
yeah.
I don't see why it shouldn't be a show.
Comic Book Men. That's the reason that show got made is because Tell 'Em Steve Dave was really popular.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's I want to say there's another one I'm drawing a blank on right now, but still, that's a lot right there. He's a busy motherfucker.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot going on. He's got about at least almost a podcast show almost every day.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of things he goes on and produces and all that, but well, not a lot. A few things I think he helped produce. Like he produced Vulgar and whatever.
Oh yeah, he did that, and he helped produce. No, this goes kind of far back, but Good Will Hunting.
He produced Good Will Hunting. Yeah, that's a great movie too. Then we go on to Mallrats, his second film, which I don't understand why some people hate that movie.
Well, that movie's not really. Now,
it was hated then.
It was
not
hated
now.
then, but now it's looked upon, and that's what they even said lots of times back then. Is that movie will grow with the. It was just made at a time when there wasn't an audience for that movie. Strangely enough, because there just wasn't enough people out there. Because comic books were still looked upon as a bad thing back then. It was still looked upon as a child's thing. I mean, even this day and age, it still has.
Even after Dark Knight Returns,
yeah, even after Dark Knight Returns, comic books are still looked down upon.
And Watchmen. Yeah.
I mean, more people are accepting it, but there still always is that thing where people just they don't understand. And I think it's one of the ones, if you never look at a comic book your entire life, you're never gonna know that what it really is. It's an actual engrossing story that's 10 times sometimes better than a movie. You know, it's way darker than anything else you've probably seen sometimes, give or take. But it's that one thing. It's just that kind of. I think it's those things that's just built in from like generation upon generations. You know, there's something about hating animation and cartoons. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things.
Just
I'm 16 now. I can't like this shit.
like if you're over 15, that's it. No more cartoons, no more comics, nothing like that. And I think a lot of people that actually just gets embedded in them, and they get stuck like that.
Yeah.
But Mallrats was a story about 2 guys who were in their mid-20s whose life revolved around playing video games and going to comic book stores at the mall.
Which Brody in the movie, he's supposed to be Walter Flanagan, Kevin Smith's friend. That's the guy that runs the comic book store in Comic Book Men. And I'm pretty sure T.S., who's the second main character of the movie, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Kevin Smith, if I had to guess.
Yeah, probably.
Then, of course, Jane Silent Bob, and all that stuff.
But no, that one actually is, it's, I don't know, I'm always kind of like, which one do I like more, Clerks or Mallrats? They're really darn close.
For me, it's Clerks, because Clerks is just such a personal movie, and it's just so, like, it's gonna sound like such like a fucking art school thing to say, but it's very pure. It's like it's so raw. It's just straight, it's like straight art. That's the thing about it. It did not.
Well, that's what I like.
There's very little influence. I mean, all right, they cut off the ending where Dante dies, and they threw in some like '90s grunge rock music to help sell it. But generally, that and like they took out just a few quick little minor scenes that were in the original cut.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, that movie had such little change from a time when Hollywood was so ran by numbers and statistics.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah, that's what's been great about that one. It's just like how pure it is. But Mallrats is always very close. I always liked that one. That was always one of those ones I liked so much.
I like Mallrats and Chasing Amy on the same level.
And then Chasing Amy is the next one.
That's more of a drama.
Well,
than
that
a
really is drama. There's actually, I mean, there's the thing about that one is it has some of the funniest things in that one.
Yeah.
But it's more drama than comedy. It's just there's just really funny parts in it.
That's true. Yeah.
And I love that one a lot. I just watched that one again. That probably is actually my third favorite one though. It's after like Clerks and Mallrats and that one. I used to like that one almost like they were almost like practically equal, but I think I actually like the other two just a tad bit more.
I think when we come up on this, I think when we get to, because for me personally, I like those two equally, just for different reasons. When we come to his fourth film, I think that's where our like opinions kind of like differ. We come to Dogma.
Yeah,
which she got a lot of death threats on Dogma.
I mean, Dogma's like was that's probably my least favorite, excluding Cop Out. Cop Out's my least favorite Kevin Smith movie.
Oh, Zack and Miri, you like Dogma less than Zack
No,
and
no,
Miri?
never mind. Take it back. Zack and Miri is my second least favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
I did some math in my head really quickly. Probably
move the X, make it a 2, change the Y.
Yeah, but no, Dogma was those ones like it. I don't know. I think it was even Kevin Smith mentioned at one point. He's like, if Robert Rodriguez was able to direct it, it would almost make it kind of like be better.
I can
it
see
probably
that.
had that thing kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn, which I think is one of the greatest combinations ever. Is Quentin Tarantino writing the movie and Robert Rodriguez directing it. Now I think if Kevin Smith wrote a movie and Robert Rodriguez directed it,
That'd be a dream
another
combo.
badass thing too. Because sometimes you get those kind of there's those directors who are fantastic at writing dialogue, but sometimes they're not. But sometimes they're not always the greatest at doing action and things like that.
If I have a complaint about that movie, it's that there's a lot of talking about things going on rather than showing certain things going on.
And if there is violence, it's either cuts away or it shoots off screen or something like that.
And here's the thing about that movie. I think the writing is spot on. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a great story. I just think there does need to be a little bit more. I mean, I don't need it to be like action and tons of gore or nothing like that.
But it is an action story, strangely enough.
It is sort of an action story with no real action going on. But it's a great movie. And I think if Robert Rodriguez did direct that movie, it probably would have been one of the best things Kevin Smith has been involved with.
Yeah, that one probably could have been pretty cool. I guess also
it still is
I'm
a
not
great
a big
movie.
like I'm not the biggest. I mean, Christian Catholic stuff. I'm like, well, I could kind of care a little bit less a lot of the times.
Well,
I like My
so
Last
much...
Temptation of Christ and things like that. But sometimes like when movies get like, I mean, I enjoy kind of movies like that. I mean, like I like End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger and those like other ones that are kind of in that similar ballpark. But I don't know. I guess maybe if I ever like grew up around people that were Christian and Catholic, I maybe like appreciate those more. It took me a lot longer to like ever know anything about it. I had to go out of my way to learn those things.
Well, the movie wasn't so much like trying to jam like.
Well, it wasn't like
be Catholic, be Catholic.
It wasn't like trying to tell you to be it, but everything in it, like I feel like I would probably enjoy that movie more if I knew more about that. But everything's in there. It's made for people who grew up like being in like Catholic school.
And
like,
losing their faith and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the people that like they know like the back end of all that stuff. And to me, I think that's the only reason I just don't really care for it now. It's just like whatever.
I still really like that one. I just it's probably my fourth favorite. And then
I'm not saying it's a bad. I'm just saying I don't like it nearly as much as the other ones.
No, I get you. And then we go on to Jane Silent Bob's Strike Back, which now that's probably my. I'll be honest with you, that's probably my second least favorite Kevin Smith movie. It's still a hilarious movie. It's still like I still enjoy it, and I get flashbacks back to the 8th grade when I watch that movie. But it's just one of those movies that's like
it's kind of still the whoa movie.
It kind of is. Because the thing about Jane Silent Bob is you love Jane Silent Bob, but they're always in the movie is like supporting characters, and you always get the more intellectual characters and like leading the way. And that one's not so much. I mean, there's still some more like intellectual jokes here and there, and some pretty good one-liners and funny bits. And it's not a bad movie. It's a good comedy, but it's just not as I don't think as much thought went into it as say Clerks.
Well, this is what I used to always say about like I just want to say this really quickly.
Go ahead.
About like Kevin Smith movies is he always had the good combination of having like kind of a little bit more serious intellectual comedy, and then also throwing in kind of like some more like whoa slapsticky kind of ish in a sense, because the main characters mostly always in his movies were they had like sophisticated intellectual comedy, that worked. But then he also had Jay and Silent Bob. I always felt they kind of broke that up by making it a little bit silly and a little bit more fun because they did stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a great balance. And like Jay and Silent Bob was pretty much just like all stupid shit and silliness. And it's not like it's not funny, and I like that movie a lot. But that was a movie when I was a kid. Loved that movie. But I think it's like once you experience all the other Kevin Smith movies, you're like, oh, that one's good, but no, like he's got even better gems. Which that's a good thing though, because you don't want to be like one of those directors that like you discover like this movie and you're like it's the fucking best movie ever. His other stuff's got to be gold, and then you go out and go, oh, no, there was just that one.
No, he like there's no such thing. I'll say this: Cop Out was okay. It wasn't a bad movie. Everyone says like this movie sucked, that movie sucked. None of his movies suck.
No, there's nothing that sucked.
His worst movie is Cop Out, and Cop Out's not even a bad movie.
It's just there's just nothing amazing there. It's just one of those movies. It's okay.
And like Zack and Miri and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, those aren't even like okay movies. Those are good movies. They're not bad movies at all. They're good.
Even Zack and Miri. I don't like Seth Rogen, but I mean it's still not a bad movie.
It's a good movie, yeah. And then when we go to Jersey Girl after that,
which I love Jersey Girl. That one's
underappreciated, very underappreciated.
That's probably actually my third favorite one. It's probably Clerks, Mallrats, and that one.
Really, that one above Chasing Amy?
I like that one more than Chasing Amy. I think.
Oh, right.
I mean, I don't know. Chasing Amy's also got that good like. The thing about Chasing Amy is I like to really like how 90s that movie is. I don't think that movie was at all intended to be that, but that movie comes across more 90s than like the other ones sort of do sometimes.
Very much so, yeah.
It's just like the music in that movie, just the way that people are dressed, the whole look and then the whole atmosphere. I don't know. I mean, when I'm saying this, I mean they're so darn close. Mm-hmm. I mean, because we're really just comparing a bunch of almost 4 out of 4 movies, if not 4 out of 4 for some of them.
Yeah.
But I really like Jersey Girl, though. That's a movie I always feel is kind of an underappreciated one. I think people are like, it's not stupid, and there's no Jay and Silent Bob, and no pot smoking, and you get like those people like that, and you're like, what the fuck were you watching? Like, what'd you get out of the other movies?
When he was done with Clerks 2, and he said, yeah, I'm not doing those anymore, I was watching like an interview with him on YouTube, and some people was like, what the fuck, Kevin? I want to go see your movies, and now you're not going to make those movies anymore.
I might as well just kill myself.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I mean, this is gonna sound so I don't know what the word is, but it's gonna sound so fucking like leave him alone. But the thing is, he's not an entertainment dispenser. He's a person, and what makes those movies good is his own personal life experiences. So if he's just forcing this shit out there for the sake of it to be just to make money off it, it's gonna lose that will make it so awesome in the first place.
Well, yeah, that's one of those ones. It's kind of like,
and that's why Cop Out's not as good of a movie.
He's not Michael Bay that makes movies for people. He makes movies because it's like a personal release of himself.
And that's what he said in his book, Tough Shit. He said there's a part where he says, I did Cop Out, and there's a point where I could have continued making movies just to cash a check at the end of the day. But then I realized, no, I only want to make it if it comes from me. So.
No, it makes sense. I always would feel it'd be really hard to do a project that wasn't kind of like
you weren't invested in emotionally.
Yeah, you weren't invested. I mean, you don't always have to be like, I guess, necessarily like the writer of it, but I mean,
something at least
if you're not really like feeling for it, I just feel.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
It'd be just hard to do.
And then, so he goes from Jersey Girl, which really good movie. It's not as funny as his other movies, but it's not really made to be that. It's a drama. So, and that's a good movie. I like Jersey Girl. It's like you think. It would be a lesser movie because it's PG-13, and sometimes when a director tries to go off and try and do something, I'm not going to say entirely different, but kind of different, it doesn't always pan out. But that was still a really good movie. So.
And it's supposed to be, it doesn't even feel PG-13. Really.
It doesn't, no.
Because
he said he's actually he wants to release a director's cut of that.
That would be cool. Because, I'm a big fan of director's cuts of just about anybody. Mm-hmm. I very rarely see a director's cut that's unnecessary. The only time I think if they are, I don't think they're actually director's cuts. I think they're just those ones where like somebody says slap some bonus scenes in there and repackage it and sell it, and some fucking nerd will buy it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple more. Like, I think the Underworld one was that because I actually bought the Underworld director's cut, and I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be like way different. It's like no, there's only thing that's really different is there's a sex scene. We find out Martin, whatever
Martin Sheen's other kid.
Not his other kid. There's the guy that plays Michael. I can't remember the character's name. The guy that plays Michael. Find out his girlfriend died or whatever, and that's why he's in England. But beyond that, it's not really fucking matter, you know.
Well, I like it.
They put in a lot of the filler scenes.
I like how like even with like Alien, like the special edition.
Michael Scott. Maybe his name's Michael Scott.
On the very beginning of like Alien, like because it says director's cut for like all 4 of them, but there's a little intro at the beginning of Alien 1 where like Ridley Scott's like, no, it's not really a director's cut. It's just a scene put back in the movie that originally took out in 1979.
Fox
For a
fucked you
fucking
over.
reason.
Looks over at some CEO sitting in the corner.
Sir, I'll put this intro on here just so you know.
It's not my fucking fault. Don't complain to me if it sucks.
Watch
Fuck
the
Fox.
next one.
Go see Alien Resurrection when it comes out. It's probably when it was released around that time, I'm guessing.
This isn't the Alien Quad pack where it's
An
all
Alien
like
Quad pack?
four. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
4 movies with 4 discs of special features and a 9th bonus disc because you got so much goddamn time. I bought that set. I still have yet to like really watch any of the special features. I feel kind of bad,
I like
but
to
they're
check
very
it.
intimidating because they have the time on them too. So it's like you look at it's like holy fuck, the special features are longer than the movie, and that's for each movie.
I
You know, they're
need
kind of like those like Blade Runner special features, which Blade Runner is probably actually like the runner-up almost. And as far
that
as
2.5-hour documentary on the
yeah,
making
that
of Blade Runner.
documentary, yeah, fucking longer than the movie, but that's actually one of like the other best special features I can think of.
Harrison Ford's like, I hated making this fucking movie when it just smelled like shit and plaster everywhere when I wasn't on the fucking set. I was in my trailer. Oh, I loved working with Harrison Ford. He was great. I hate
Well,
this fucking movie. That's kind of
I
what
like the one chick in there. She was like, I was so nervous working with Harrison Ford, and then in one scene,
the chick that played the
android.
Okay. Yeah.
And then she's like, I looked over and Harrison Ford was mooning me. That was how he got me to like lighten up and picture like this. She turns around and sees Indiana Jones with his ass just,
hanging
like,
out,
shining off lights.
Ridley's like, Ridley's like, put that away now. He's like, fuck you. I'm Indy. What are you gonna do about it?
I was in Star Wars.
We
Made
should
a lot of
actually.
money.
We should probably get back to Kevin Smith though.
So we'll be on Clerks 2 now.
We finished Jersey Girl. We're on Clerks 2, which Clerks 2 not as good as Clerks 1, but really good movie still.
No, that one is still an extremely good movie. Or a lot of people, it made me angry because a lot of people went and saw the movie. They didn't even know they didn't see Clerks 1.
Yeah, that pisses you off a lot when people do that.
That just bothers me live too. Like, there's some things you can kind of come in part way. Like when you're reading comics, you can come in part way. It seems intimidating at first as you're like, issue 789. But as long as you got a general knowledge of it, you can come in part way. But movies, when there's only like a couple of them, like, I mean, unless it's like 007 or something, start from the fucking beginning. I mean, like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
You're like that guy. You hear someone say, "I haven't seen the first one." You turn around, you act like a mom. Like, no, you go home and you watch that now,
and then you come back.
You take their ticket.
I'll have this movie ticket waiting for you.
Yeah.
No, that always just bothers me. I don't know what it is, especially when it's like not that many of them. See, like 007, I mean, I can understand that. You gotta start somewhere. There's like 25 of them when it really gets down to it.
I just imagine someone saying that behind you, and you're like, peasants.
Peasants. Oh, they come to the theater and they think.
Let me pull out my movie monocle. Yes. But no. Well, the thing with that movie is it's already a great movie, but what really makes that movie is the ending.
No, the ending really brings everything back around, and it's just one of the best endings ever.
Because Jane, Silent Bob, because that was originally supposed to be the end to the View Askew universe, and it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, cool, we're on stage, we're singing with Purple Rain, it's awesome, woo, you know, and then or like no, Morse Day, it was Morse Day. My bad. Morse Day. It's like, yeah, it's awesome. See you guys later. It was fun, you know, and that's cool. But it actually went back to the more simplicity of it, and I just love that. I can't.
The black and
white. I just when I'm getting chills thinking about it, that part when you see them back in the convenience store at the end, and it starts playing that song, and it just start like what's it called? Something Asylum. Soul Asylum. Yeah. It does that slow fade to black and white. And then you see his mom, who originally played the milkmaid in the first one, going through the milks, and then it just cuts the black in the credits. That is just oh god, that's just such a perfect way to end that whole universe, just the way it ends, you know.
The only thing that bothers me in that movie is just I don't like her is Rosario Dawson.
I like Rosario Dawson.
I never like her in any movie I've ever seen. She always bothers me. That's the only downfall.
I thought she was a really likable character.
I think that was the original movie I saw that I didn't like her in, because I saw that movie and I was like, that's the only character I didn't like was her. I don't like her in that. I really don't like her in Death Proof. I don't like her.
Well, you still like
and Alexander, whatever. She's just some like sex toy that he gets to chuck aside, so that's better.
In order for like Jared Load or Jared, no, what's his name? The guy that he fucks instead. He was in 30 Seconds to Mars, and he was in like
Did you say 30 Seconds to Mars?
He's in that band.
Oh, 30 Seconds to Mars is a band.
Yes. Yeah, and he's the son in Requiem for a Dream. Jared Way? No, that's
That's
Gerard Way. That's My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Jared Leto. That's his name.
Oh, sounds like a drink.
It does.
But yeah, I never liked Rosario Dawson really anything. She's always one of those ones like, strange enough, Rent was probably one of her better roles, if you can imagine that.
The movie about AIDS.
Yeah, about AIDS. That was probably her better role, but I still don't like her. It's just I don't know. And there's even an Edward Burns movie that had her in. She's like, oh, why?
She never bothered me in Clerks. She just seemed like, I don't know. She seemed like a likable person.
I just find her kind of like obnoxious and pretentious. I think that's just how she comes across to me. Like she's full of herself and she knows it.
And she never came across that way to me, but I don't know. I've only seen her in a handful of movies.
I don't know. It's like one of those ones. I generally don't like to kind of like be that person who like hates actors. Like I don't hate actors for like their personal lives. I just only if they bother me in the movie does it like, you know, where you go to see a movie and you're just like, ah, she's kind of obnoxious, annoying.
Why are you so fucking annoying? Like that's the character I played. You're fucking annoying.
Well, when it happens in about 5 movies, that you realize it's not just the character anymore.
Oh, I remember like one of our friends who were named nameless because I don't want to like call him out when he's not here to defend himself. He's like, I fucking hate Kate Beckinsale. Why do you hate Kate Beckinsale? She fucking broke up with Adam Sandler and Click. That was a movie. That's a kid. She broke Adam Sandler's heart. Fuck that bitch.
I love Kate Beckinsale.
So, okay, it was.
I
in
will
the
say
movie.
she was a bitch cam in that movie, but
yeah. It wasn't her though. That was the character she was playing. So good.
You can't judge it on one movie. Now, if she was a bitch in multiple movies, then maybe you could. But if it's a one movie,
or just the character she often plays, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm not saying like that's not based on her. I mean, I'm just judging her.
Well, it's like
I don't judge Rosario Dawson. Like, I don't hate her like as a person. I just don't like her in movies. I don't like her acting. Let me just say that. That's what it really gets.
The way
down
you
to.
originally felt for Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I don't like Shia
LaBeouf,
LaBeouf. I don't like his acting either. I think, but he has proved himself a little bit better in the last couple movies I've seen of him. When I say last 2 movies, I mean Lawless and Wall Street 2.
Perhaps you may be worthy. We'll see.
But yeah,
yes.
but maybe I don't know. He might give him a couple more years, and he might not be too bad.
Maybe if Quentin Tarantino cast you, we'll see what happens. Yes.
I hope Quentin Tarantino doesn't cast him anytime soon, at least.
Yeah.
Let's let him grow a little bit in the field first.
Well, let's see. Now we go on to
Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Zack and Miri, which that's a fun movie. That's
a fun movie. It came out fucking on Halloween. It was like the strangest movie to go see on Halloween.
Yeah. I actually saw it a week after. I didn't see the movie right when it came out.
And I remember because we were all like, dude, what the fuck?
I was in Oregon. I was in Ashland.
I guess that was it, but it just seems like, I mean, you probably being the biggest Kevin Smith fan of all. That just seemed kind of strange, you know?
Well, I was gonna go. I was dating. I was in a long distance relationship at the time, and I was seeing it with my girlfriend at the time in Ashland. So that was the thing. But one thing keep me from seeing Kevin Smith the opening day. But no. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Jack and Miri in his book.
Zack and Miri.
Yeah, Zack and Miri.
You said Jack and Miri.
Did I say Jack and Miri?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Well, Zack and Miri, in his book, he actually talked about that. He said, like, you know what? I do like that movie, and it was a fun time making it, and I got a lot of respect for Seth Rogen. Kevin Smith likes Seth Rogen.
I don't. Kevin Smith may like Seth Rogen. I don't like Seth Rogen. I'm sorry. He's a movie hog. Too many movies I see, he's always in, and he always tries to hog the movie.
Not now. He's kind of backing away now.
Well, yeah, no. Now, like, I think there's enough people out there finally said, no, fuck that movie hog, so you don't see him nearly as much.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, he's not my favorite actor, but it doesn't really bother me. But anyway, so
I feel like I'm on the rant here of like all the actors I hate. They just seem to all kind of roll up into these same.
What else pissed me off? Fucking Eskimos. You know, just gonna talk about everything we hate.
Eskimo bars.
There's spears. Hogging all the whale fat. Yeah. What if we Americans want some of that whale fat? What do you think about that, Eskimos? Huh? Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. Just Seth Rogen. I don't know. I don't like that kind of like. He just always feels like a movie hog. The movie that made me feel like the most movie hog he could possibly be was Fanboys. Because not only was he in that movie once, he had to have fucking 3 different characters in that movie. Completely different characters. And that movie didn't originally have him in it, so.
He was the Star Wars nerd. No, he was a Star Wars, like, pimp guy.
He was a Star Trek guy, and then he was somebody else in that movie. I've only seen that movie twice.
Okay.
But he's in there 3 times. I just remember because in the credits he's in there 3 times.
Okay. Anyway, so then moving on, we go to, so he's in Zack and Miri. Which I think that movie's funny. It's not my favorite movie of his.
It's not bad.
It's not my favorite movie of his. The thing about that movie is he even said in his book, like, well, I really like Seth Rogen. I wanted to use Seth Rogen in the movie, and I thought, well, maybe if I use him while he's still kind of like playing B-list characters, I can make him big, and he'd owe me later down the line because I see a future for this guy. And then when he was thinking that, he said he saw a big poster for Knocked Up. He's like, fuck. But he still wanted to use him anyway, so he did. And he was also thinking like, well, the whole Judd Apatow thing is big, so he even admitted to using not copying Judd Apatow, but using certain elements to Judd Apatow films. And he actually said that one of the things that ultimately inspired it was the story of Clerks, how they made it, working after hours at work to make a movie. And he said, this is almost kind of like if Scott Mosier was a chick and we fucked on camera. That's one way he described it in his book.
And that's kind of what the movie is. I mean, like, it's kind of cool. The concept of it's really badass. Like, just that,
I
like,
still think it's a funny movie.
I think it's a funny movie. I think it's good. I don't know.
But he said he didn't really challenge himself with it because he says you knew they were gonna get together in the end. You knew they loved each other.
Yeah.
You knew it was gonna pan out all right. And from there, I think the thing with the movie was he said that he was at the point where I was making a movie for the sake of making a movie. I was making a movie about making movies. So it's not a bad movie, but I did not have as much heart in that as say Clerks or Mallrats or Chasing Amy. So
and I think he was trying to kind of do that kind of Judd Apatow thing, which is kind of like, once again, there's something else I don't care for as much, but
and he said that one of the reasons why that movie didn't do as good because the Japanese says, well, we don't really have the marketing team that Judd Apatow has.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why that movie didn't go out as much.
No.
And then from there we go to Cop Out, which is probably his worst movie. The only reason I say that's his worst movie is because he didn't write it.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason to it.
It's not even a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie. It's like a 2.5.
People always like beat the shit out of that movie. It's not bad. It's watchable. It's decent.
Like, I'd like to see it again. I've only seen it since the theaters.
That's the last time I saw it, and that's actually where I feel kind of bad for Kevin Smith because he said in his book where he was all talking about he was talking about how Harvey Weinstein would always talk to him about like stay away from major cinemas. They're the fucking devil. They're horrible. They'll fuck with your artistic integrity like no other. He said that's one of the few movies. That's what he said it was the first one he went to. He says they weren't that bad. They're actually very easy to work with. The one person who was not easy to work with was Bruce Willis, and that was a heartbreak for him because Bruce Willis was one of his idols.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, the way he got hitched up with Bruce Willis to do this movie was he played the hacker and Live Free or Die Hard. And from there, they bonded over the course of like 2 days. He was there, like, this guy's really cool. And Bruce Willis said, hey, man, if you ever want me to be in a movie, let me know. It's, oh, my God, this is so awesome. I can't wait. And the opportunity to direct Cop Out came up. And he said, well, what we'll do is Bruce Willis is a little expensive for us, but a bunch of the higher ups, will like cut our salaries in half so Bruce Willis can be here in this movie. It'll be so awesome. And apparently after that happened, Bruce Willis was the biggest pain in the ass to work with, and it was just such a heartbreak for Kevin Smith. And he just, yeah.
Well, I'll just let you. If you want to read more, you can read more in the book on that.
I'll go off on that. Yeah.
There's no reason. Yeah, it's like that's in the book.
Yeah.
Which I guess then this is where it really leads to. This leads to a movie that's like probably a great comeback for Kevin Smith. I guess you could say.
Oh my God, Red State was so amazing.
And Red State is so badass.
That is.
And that's because he kept talking forever, like, oh, I can't direct action. I can't direct action. And then you see this movie, and you're like, did Kevin Smith even fucking direct this movie?
Yeah.
It's so like it just like did he just like wake up one day and say, fuck, I can direct action?
If I didn't keep up on what Kevin Smith was doing all the time, it almost sounds like I have a bunch of pictures of him on my wall with like strings like going to places he'd been or shit. But I keep up on a lot because I listen to his podcast, and it really almost sounds like.
Well, if you just walked into that movie,
not knowing anything about Kevin Smith,
you would never guess once that it was a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things that makes that movie so great. It's just unlike anything else he's ever done. It's such a great movie.
It's just badass, and it's just like it starts out as kind of like a teen romp, then fades into like a horror movie, and then ends as a big fat action movie.
And the whole thing with that movie is, it doesn't really go by any particular. He said like what he does is the second the audience got comfortable, he flipped on your back like, what the fuck's going on? What are you doing now? You know, okay, so the kids are gonna get guns. They're gonna find out what they just fucking died. What happened? Yeah, it just like, goes in direct. The movie's unpredictable and it's awesome.
So you don't really know who the main characters are. You think you do, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that movie's just all around badass. The action's fantastic. The concept's badass because it's based off of the church guy in the South.
The Phelps Church.
Yeah. And what the hell's that guy's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Westboro Baptist Church. Michael Phelps.
No, Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps is the person who. You talk about the actor?
No, not the actor. The person
he's based on. Yeah, Michael Phelps is the. Wait, is it Michael Phelps?
Isn't that the swimmer for Olympics?
Something Phelps. No, it's the Phelps family. It's Not Michael Phelps. Now that I'm done with the Olympics, I'm gonna go on the God Hates Fags tour. The real American
I
hero.
always thought he had the same name as that one.
He has the same last name, the Phelps.
For some reason, I was thinking it was Billy Graham. I guess.
Bill Phelps, something Phelps.
Well, whatever. But it's based off those crazy nut fucking Christian people down in the South that hate gays, hate blacks, hate anything else in between. They read the Bible, but they clearly don't understand it. When I say read it too, I think one guy reads it and then like,
okay.
yeah, and then explains. To
I don't think
everybody
anybody else knows how to fucking read in that group.
No, they're a bunch of retards, a bunch of fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of cool thing, is that's who it is. So you get these people and you get so pissed off at these fucking Christians up there preaching shit that Jesus would have never even done.
Yeah.
Let alone God, even in his hateful Jew days.
Michael Parks. Maybe it's Michael Parks.
Yeah, Michael Parks. No, that's the actor.
Michael Parks is the actor. Okay, never mind.
We're getting somewhere.
Progression. Wait, no, never mind. Just take a few steps back. Michael Parks does a fucking awesome job.
He does a fantastic job, though. So you just get this point where you just give them this boiling point. And then they have the ATF come, and the ATF have been kind of like in the last 10 years have had kind of problems where they kind of busted in on the wrong groups and unloaded. So that's kind of like, I think that's kind of where that kind of comes from. But you just can't wait. You're like, fuck it, I want to see these ATF guys just shoot the fuck out of anybody and everybody in there. And like,
John Goodman fucking.
Oh, John Goodman's
so
fucking
awesome.
badass.
And he was awesome enough to do that movie for free.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Did he do it exactly for free?
That's what his book said.
Oh, okay. I know he did it for a low cut. I didn't know he did it for free, though.
No, Kevin Smith said somewhere in his book, he's all like, you would not believe how
I read
cheap
that part, but I guess I don't know. I just don't remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just shows how awesome fucking John Goodman is.
Because I thought he was getting paid. Because I remember there was that line, though, where like...
Fred Phelps. Fred Phelps.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, but no, anyway.
Not Michael Phelps.
Michael. Oh, I just imagine that. I just won like a bunch of gold medals and started going on like a fucking hate tour.
But no, just by the end of the movie, just like there's just explosions and gunfire and all kinds of crazy shit, and it's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say any more than that. It's like I kind of got the concept out there. Go see it. It's badass.
It's a fucking amazing movie. Oh my god. Now his next movie is gonna be, I guess it's based off his general philosophy, which is philosophy is Walter Gretzky's father said, "Don't go where the puck is, go
Wayne
where the
Gretzky.
Walter Gretzky's father told Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, Walter. Okay, there we go.
I think it was Walter Gretzky, maybe because he always using a name, but he told Wayne Gretzky, "Go where the puck is gonna be, not where it's at."
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of what his next movie, Hit Somebody, is gonna be about. It's also apparently based off a song too. So, and he said that's gonna be in a two-parter. It's gonna be a period piece.
Oh, that'd be cool. I like period pieces. Those are my favorite type of movies.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think it's gonna be a little while because apparently he's still going through the drafts and the scripts. But I look forward to that movie with great anticipation.
No, that'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to anything Kevin Smith generally.
Mm-hmm. And even the fact that he said he's done with film, whether he is or isn't, I'm so glad he's still doing stuff. I'm so glad he's
the
producing
podcasts are pretty freaking awesome because you get a lot of variety in those shows. My favorite still is the Fat Man on Batman, but I'm still waiting for him to get some comic book guys in there.
The closest thing he had to a comic book guy, actually two people he had to the comic book guy.
Walt Flanagan.
Walt Flanagan, because that's his best friend, one of his best friends that actually came in and did the artwork for Cacophony and The Winding Gyre. And aside from that, he had Paul Dini, who was one of the writers and one of the producers for the TV show. But Paul Dini actually went in to write the comics, so that kind of counts too.
Yeah, that kind of.
He wrote Heart of Hush. He wrote Mad Love. There's some other books that I'm drawing a blank on.
He wrote quite a bit.
He was also one of
that one that's sitting over there. You let me borrow.
That's Heart of Hush, yeah.
Okay,
and then he also wrote one of them. He wrote was I'm drawing a blank on it right now. He was one of the writers on Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
With Grant Morrison.
But I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool to see Kevin Smith. Like, I know probably have to go kind of out of your way to get some comic book artists because comic book people can live probably anywhere in the world, you know, and especially if they're older guys too and they're retired maybe.
Yeah.
But it'd be kind of cool to see him pull in some guys from maybe like 70s and 80s, some people that really kind of define like Batman.
Danny O'Neill or someone like that.
Even I think of big ones like Frank Miller would be cool.
Jim Lee would be cool. Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb, some of my favorite writers and artists right there.
So I just think it'd be
Judd
cool
Winnick would be cool.
Just to see some guys come in that kind of worked in the comic book. That's my light complaint. Other than that, that's my favorite show. It's just I just would like to see. I mean, don't get me wrong, the animated series is my Batman and my number one Batman, but I'd like to see
more than just the animated series.
Just see some stuff on. Yeah. You know what would be cool is if you got like Adam West on there and stuff.
He's gonna have Adam West in the next one. He's gonna have Adam West,
really?
Burt Ward, and the chick that played Catwoman.
Oh, that's badass. I haven't got that. I saw there's a new.
He said it's gonna be this weekend.
There's a new Ralph Garman one on there.
That's where they're talking about Dark Knight Rises.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Because there was that one. I haven't listened to it yet because I was finishing up
It's
Titus
Dark Knight.
and a couple other ones.
It's Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman both talking about Dark Knight Rises. Ralph Garman's opinion of it.
Oh, okay. Well, he's talked a lot about Dark Knight Rises on there.
Yeah.
He's
I
talked
think
about
this
like
is
a
the
good
swan
like
song
4
for it, yeah.
hours of like Dark Knight Rises. Don't get me wrong, you can talk a lot about Dark Knight Rises, but he's talked more than like I could think anybody else probably.
The Ralph Garman one, they actually kind of point out a lot of the plot holes, but it's actually, even though some of the things seem like nitpicks I don't agree with, it regardless, he could say shit you don't agree with. It's fucking hilarious still.
No, I
Kevin
need a, once I finish with the new Titus, I think I'm gonna go into that one.
I just finished the Titus one. That was a pretty good one.
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
But yeah, so if you haven't seen Kevin Smith's movies, check them out. They're pretty good. If you haven't read his book, even if you're not really so much into filmmaking, if you're into anything creatively based, you want to go into any like occupation like that, the book just inspires you. This book will put you in an amazing mood. It's called Tough Shit. He has a couple other books, which My Boring Ass Life, which is more like a scripted version of some of his best of podcasts, just scripts of the podcast. Mm-hmm. And then there's what's another one he has?
There's that one that came out like even longer ago.
Silent Bob Speaks, which is a collection of articles that he's written in one book.
So, but this one's a full-on kind of, I guess you could say, autobiography.
Well, yeah, the way it works is
it's written like not in like the classic style autobiography from like birth to death,
mm-hmm.
or birth to like where he is now.
It's written in the sense of like, okay, here's a whole chapter on my relationship with me and my father. Here's a chapter about how I met my wife and where we're at now. Here's a chapter that more or less on his thing with Bruce Willis, his whole thing with Southwest. Here's a thing on my artwork that I've done up to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So, or Clerks.
Movies.
The Clerks too, I mean, yeah. So generally he has like, it's not really written in that standard, yeah, like you said, it's not really from point A to point B. It's just more certain segments and focusing on his life through those segments.
Which I think is a much better way to write a book actually than kind of like, because sometimes like the main thing that like, because autobiographies are my favorite types of books to read, but after you start reading a lot of autobiographies, you realize you really don't like the part when like between about like ages like 1 to like 10.
Yeah.
And some people like Errol Flynn, his book, he's already fucking on his way by the time the book's like at page 30.
I gotta borrow that from you.
And it's just like that's how you gotta do it though. But you don't want to be like Keith Richards, who's like talking about his fucking childhood for over 100 pages. And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Or Anthony Kiedis talking about, then one day I stole some Slim Jims from 7-Eleven.
Well, it's still ones like
I'm never gonna come back to that part.
You're gonna have a couple child stories you want to get out, and I understand that.
No, there's some interesting ones.
But
in there, yeah,
mostly child stories are pretty fucking boring.
Well, even in like Scar Tissue, Anthony Kiedis' book, a lot of the child stuff, there are some things that are actually interesting when they're like jumping off of like buildings and the pools and all that. That was cool. But then there are certain parts that were just kind of like, what was the point of that?
Well, once you get to your teenage years, that's mostly when the book's always like, okay, this is where it's good.
Yeah.
But before that, it's always just kind of like just the early childhood and like that 1 to about 10, a little bit over that. That's part where it's just always like, oh, okay.
Let's speak about going over. This is probably our longest podcast, but I think it was a pretty good one.
Well,
Kevin Smith's always a great topic.
We didn't decide to split into 2.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so I guess we should probably end it there. So yeah, check out Kevin Smith's work if you never checked it out. And yeah, well, nothing more to say than that.
Yeah, Kevin Smith, one of my all-time favorite directors.
Same here.
Love all his movies. He's inspired me more than anything else on whether it be writing or entertainment, podcasts.
He makes it seem, because the thing is, he's also very modest. He makes it seem like anything's possible. He said, if I can do it, you can do it. And it really seems possible, really. And I'm not trying to short sell him. He's just an all-around, just such an amazingly talented person. And comes across as such a nice guy in his podcast. And I know 2 people that have actually met him, and they say he was the nicest guy when they met him.
So. No, I can believe that. You know, he just does everything, you know. He just does a little bit of everything. Got a wide range of knowledge.
We never even got around to doing the emails. We'll save that for the next time, I guess.
Well, I wasn't going to do them anyways.
You were going to do the emails this time anyway? Or next time?
No, because they're all Batman related, so I might as well cope with the other Batman stuff.
Okay.
Whereas everything's Batman related. Never could be anything
Every
else.
episode we have to mention Batman at some point.
Well, I realized on our podcast, like 4 out of like 15 of them are Batman oriented.
When do you guys come out with the new Drunk Batman? Yeah, usually that.
Oh, I was talking about that. I was talking about our podcast.
Oh, our podcast. Oh, that's true. Yeah. I'm not saying we're being bombarded with emails, but usually if it is a question, it's like...
Batman. It's always drunk Batman oriented.
Yeah. But anyway, so I guess that's a good place to end it right there.
So we'll end it there, and I guess we'll see you some other time.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
We'll see you guys later.